Hello everyone, my name is FlareBlitzed here and welcome to this, well, what you'd call a milestone in my channel, and thank you so much to everyone who has been a part of this journey, whether you've subscribed yesterday, whether you subscribed today, whether you subscribed when I started doing this. It's so amazing to get to this milestone of 2,000 or more people now. Actually, it's been an incredible journey so far, and I really can't thank you enough. Really, it's been amazing. But anyways, let's crack into these questions and let's get straight into it, shall we? What are 3 games you're super looking forward to in 2018? The first game you've been really into? What do you do in your spare time? Have you ever thought about developing games? And also, congrats. Well, for this Q&A, I've only actually got 7 comments, so therefore I'm going to pick all of these just to make the video a bit longer. What are 3 games you're super looking forward to 2018? It's actually a pretty dry year when it comes to actual games releasing like in this year. I think the only games that I'm really looking forward to, and there's actually only 3 of them. One of them is already released, which is called Dynasty Warriors 9. And the second one is called Atlia, Lidley and Suri. And the third one is actually Red Dead Redemption 2. I remembered when Red Dead Redemption came out originally, and it was just one of the best games, or if not the best game of its time. It was just so awesome. But the first game you really be into, I would say, first game I've been really into, I'll probably say it would be this Nintendo 64 version of Mario Kart. That was like the first game I really got into, and then not long after that would be the Pokemon games as well, starting with Pokemon Red or Blue, I can't quite remember, then it was Yellow, and then actually it came to the point where Generation 4 was the first one where I actually looked into, like, well, okay, let's see what's super effective against what's not very effective against another, and it could go on from there. What do you do in your spare time? I'm actually not that interesting of a person, I'm not gonna lie. Spare time, I volunteer for the police force, let's just say that, but I'm not going to say what exactly I do, just because it's confidential in that sort of way. Other things I do, I love to walk my dogs. It's, well, 99% of the time, it's raining outside right now. I love the summer months, I really love walking my dogs in the summer months. I think walking in general is a very good exercise to do, because it's one of the few exercises that you can do for a long amount of time that doesn't cost you anything. Besides maybe food and drink, in case you feel a little lack of energy or very high dehydrated in that sort of regards. And also other things I do, I check out other people's work. Sorry, my laptop screen got dulled there. I also check out other people's work. For example, the person who asked this question, they made a game of their own called Beast named Azilia. I recommend checking it out. It's a very, very nice short RPG Maker game made in MV, I believe it was. I'm not too sure. And also the last question, and actually, I have been thinking about this for a long time. Have you ever thought about developing games? And I would want to one day. But my main problem is I don't understand scripting, coding, however you want to call that process. I don't understand the logistics of what goes into a game. Like, I can understand how it looks and all that, but how it's actually programmed out and see if it actually works, I physically can't understand it. I mentally can't understand it. It's just, programming itself has just been a very, very weak area of mine. I absolutely hate it. I think I applaud anybody who can actually understand stuff like JavaScript or Ruby, because I look at it at first and people say that it's incredibly simple, you pick it up immediately, but no, I don't. And for me, the main problem with me is that if I don't understand something off the get-go, then I don't have the drive to continue pursuing to understand it more. So therefore, it comes to the case where I hate scripting, so therefore, I don't want to get into scripting. And when people say, oh, you don't require scripting to use RPG Maker, you just do this, this and that. Well, nowadays there's just so many projects out there that just go out of their way to make the game as brilliant as possible, which is very, very good. And it kind of would put my own project into a forgotten pile, as it were. So for many reasons, I wouldn't I wouldn't develop my own game, but if I was able to develop my own game, I think it would be incredibly simple. It would be something that's too barbaric. Let's say a Yuminiki fan game. I think that's probably one of the best ways to start off your journey as a developer, would be to go into an engine that's, well, compared to other engines, really simple. And I would say with Yuminiki fan games, you'll be able to learn the engine as you're actually making your creative process go along. And yeah, I think that sums up that question. Congratulations, FlareBlitzed. I was wondering, who inspired you to become a YouTuber gamer and why? Thanks for your content and work. You are an awesome gamer and person. Well, I wouldn't say I'm an awesome gamer, let's just say that. But I get where you're coming from, and I thank you for the comment. And thank you so much for the niceness of it as well. So, who inspired me? I would say there wouldn't be one particular person that did it for me, but I would say the main personnel who kind of got me into RPG Maker games, as it were, would be Manly Badass Hero or Markiplier. I can't quite remember. I can't quite remember. Back 3 years ago, which personnel wanted me to look at it and say, I actually, well, let's play one game and then go from there and see what happens. And now it's just so many games I've played. But I think mainly for me, Manly Badass Hero is kind of like been a very big inspiration for myself. I think he's an incredibly awesome dude. Not trying to get cheeky and all that sort of stuff, but I also quite like his style, where he doesn't talk too much. He just goes through the game and also brings up a lot of references, which goes over my head, because I'm thinking, I've never heard of this anime or this manga or this comic, and it's just so awesome to see as well. And then it comes down to the stages of seeing a game that I've uploaded, and then shortly afterwards he uploads, because sometimes we all have that sort of thing where personally for me, I like to upload videos of a game as soon as it comes out, but sometimes it goes on for a little bit with other people. So like, may have something else in their life they need to get to in the first place, but also for the fact they may need to finish a Let's Play that they haven't completed. And it doesn't really matter about who uploads it. I just think that everyone should enjoy the game that they upload in all that regards. Congratulations, lots of emojis there. I'm sorry if this has been asked before, but what's your dream horror game? If you had all the resources you could possibly need and could make any game you want, what would your game be like and why? It's a very tough question, I'm not gonna lie. It's very concrete when it comes to what you're asking, but I know what you're going for here. But a dream horror game, to be honest, I think with that part of the question, I would say that I don't have, like, this setting is what I want from a horror game. If it's not come out, then I wouldn't say it is a perfect RPG Maker horror game or so and so. It was all varying down to the person who makes the game and how they want the story to flow. For me personally, I'm really looking out for story-focused, story-orientated games, and whenever a game has a story focus to it that's unique, that's inspiring, that's you can ping off into the community and say, hey, I've really enjoyed the experience of this game. And I would say horror wise, it doesn't really matter what sort of horror is put into it. I would say about the recycling matter of using, well, not say using, but getting reference from other games and then putting them into your own. I would say, I would probably say I would make it so that it's actually something that people would actually love to see, because at times I've seen comments, it's like, well, it's continuous usage of stuff that's already been used before, but I wouldn't know how to progress through that stage, because obviously it's incredibly difficult to try and get reference of something and actually not look at it from an outside perspective and thinking that it's not like a clone or a doppelganger as it's such. But I would say it doesn't matter about the horror regards. What would your game be like and why? I would say that with the second part of the question there, if I had all the resources I could ever possibly need, I would say it's actually quite a difficult part to think of. Actually, it's I wouldn't say that I would have my ideal game just simply because there's always going to be something out there in the game that's going to be flawed, and for that regards you need to understand that criticism in making games is important to developing yourself as a developer in the future. So if I had any game wanted, I would say that I would always support developers when it comes to money aspects, because obviously we need a house to live in, we need a roof over our heads to protect ourselves from the wind and the wet and the cold, and there's always those people out there that have got much less than yourself. So for those of you watching this video right now on your mobile phone or on your PC, I would say give yourself a pat on the back and think to yourself about how unlucky you could be if you're one of those people that don't have anything in their life and they don't live in a home or anything like that. Anyways, this question's gone on really negatively, sorry about that, but I wouldn't have an ideal game that I would really like. There are games out there which I have soft spots for, but I think that's going to be for another time. Hi Flare, congratulations on the 2k subscribers. As for my questions, I'm curious as to what some of your favourites are when it comes to food, like chocolate and pizza, animals, TV shows, anime, and hobbies. You're going to include chocolate in that question? Really? That's so difficult to answer. Just like, what do you prefer? Dairy Milk or Galaxy? What do you prefer? Milky Way or Mars? It's so difficult to answer, but I'm going to try and get this down as concisely as possible. And I would say that with chocolate, it's always, for me personally, I really like dark chocolate. There we go. And pizzas, I don't mind as long as it's got the core ingredients, you know, the tomato puree, the cheese, I always personally like the Hawaiian pizzas. They're always really nice to gouge down on. Animals, I'm always fond of dogs ever since I've had dogs about 12 years ago now. Unfortunately, I recently lost one of my dogs due to Cushing's disease, a tumour in his brain. And we did everything that we can for the past 6 months to try and remove the bad stuff that he's been having in his body, in his brain. He also had cysts, he had severe arthritis in his back legs, and I think it came to a point where it was a bit too much for him. But also to the point where you need to understand from the dog's perspective that it wasn't walking around very much, it was often lost in thought. We tried taking it to a park that it really loved a few years ago, but just absolutely didn't even know where it was. Let's just say that. And it was all just before the euthanization that kind of realised to the point where this needs to happen. I think wherever Milo goes in the future, by the way, that's my dog's name that recently passed away, Milo. Wherever it goes next, I'm sure it will be very, very happy. I'm sure it won't have any of the bad things that it's been recently suffering for over 6 months or so. But I would say dogs is always going to be a soft spot for me. But I also like birds as well, just simply because I always like the fact that they're high in the sky and wings, so you can fly anywhere you want. Whereas on the ground, we always have to watch where we're going. But with anything with birds, it's the crows fly, because Like, anyway, self-explanatory. TV shows, I don't really actually watch TV. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a TV person. Nor am I a movie person as well. But anime, I would say Steins Gate is a first for me. I just really love the themes that went into that anime. And also looking forward to Steins Gate Zero as an anime as well in 2018. I'm not sure when the release date for that is. It's definitely not going to be this year in English. Could be this year in Japanese. Looking at all the tweets that's been going on. Steins Gate Elite is another thing as well, which I think is going to be like a more animated version of the original Steins Gate game that came out for the Xbox many years ago, and came out on all the other consoles, and then re-released on Steam. And other ones would be Ethan Lied, and oh gosh, what's another one? I have to look at my list, really. Actually, I've only watched about 20% of all the anime discs I've got up there. It's incredible. You buy an anime disc or something like that, and you don't actually watch it. But I've only watched about 20% of these. Steins Gate I definitely have. No. Yes, no. Yes, no. Who says yes for that one? Yes. No. No. And then on this side here, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. I mean, sorry, yes, no. Probably less than 20%, really. And I'm sorry if my head covered up any of them, but it was just a case where, well, let's just see how many of them are, because I could be wrong, and it's probably less than 20%, but some of them actually picked up really cheaply in HMV, so I just thought, I'll just see what this is like and watch all of it and see what I go. I mean, I didn't enjoy all of them, I must be honest. Some of them are a bit too fetished for my liking, towards a particular direction, but there we go. And hobbies, I think I've already answered the question in the, I think it's the first question, I'm not quite too sure. What got you into RPG horror? Well, I would say with the horror aspects within RPG Maker games, it always has a particular story focus to it, because you're either, the story is focused on characters, or the horror indulges the game into an environment where it's quite sadistic at times. And I don't mean sadistic as in like it's very bad, sadistic as in it's engaging. It always kind of brings out that kind of extra sense in the question where you kind of feel for the protagonist, because in other sort of games like fantasy on its own, I think there's a lack of connection between you and the personnel on the screen. And I think in horror games, like I'll say most recently Aria's Story, which is a very good one, you kind of feel that kind of connection if you're into books, for example, or if you really like indulging in donuts, or if you like playing chess, you kind of get that connection with the character, you have that bit of empathy going on. And I think with horror games, it always brings out more sad and dark themed natures within a game, within a story, within the environment. And I think without the horror part, I don't think that the story oriented part of a game would be as focused if it wasn't for the horror itself, literally. I think the horror part actually gets you engaging with the character more when it comes to thinking of what kind of scenario that it's within. Another one would be Pocket Mirror, where the characters lost their name. I'm not going to just announce the name right now, because if anyone hasn't played Pocket Mirror, there is an unnamed protagonist in which you'll find out at some point in the game their name. So, but I'm pretty sure everyone's just listed it on the internet, so there we go, but I'm not going to do it on my behalf. And with Pocket Mirror in itself, you kind of feel that kind of attachment to the character as their, well, first of all, a cute girl, but secondly, their adventures through these different realms, confusing as it is still now. What type of music are you into? I don't have a particular genre of music that I really like. I usually like very intense music in games. A few games which come to mind where I really like the soundtracks on, whether they're a calming sort of scenario or an intense scenario. I would say the mystery dungeon games of Pokemon are a favourite of mine. Other ones would include Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors, Teokiden. Oh gosh, some RPG Maker games also have original OSTs to them, which I really like. Our Story was a particular favourite of mine at the moment. I think it was in the romance section, that music there that was playing. It's like a different version of the main menu theme, and it was just so captivating. But I would say I don't have a particular theme or a particular genre that I love. I wouldn't say that, oh, punk is my absolute favourite, or jazz, or hip hop, or anything like. Is it hip hop a genre of its own? Maybe it's a subgenre. Or metal, or heavy metal, or rock, or anything like, or classical. No, I'd say classical is probably a more nah. But if it sounds nice, and it's very good. But for me, I just like most game orchestrated musics. Last but not least, if you had to choose two RPG game genres and fuse them together, which ones would it be and why? Fusing genres together, now that's a pretty interesting question, because then you would lose some of the individuality within each genre if you try and fuse them together. But I would say probably some of the easiest ones to fuse together would be horror and dark. Other ones would be fantasy and sci-fi. And then other ones would be like historical and fighting. But I would actually go with horror and dark fusing them together, because I believe that brings out both the psychological horrific encounters with the character, and also the dark themed nature that goes on with, let's say, family conflicts or bullying at school, for example. Oh, actually, Len and the Lion recently came out. Well, it's not recently, a few months ago, but Len and the Lion is a very good example of a dark themed game where the protagonist is not spoken to by anyone else, just simply because of your visual aesthetics. Some people would believe that's very bad for people to witness, but I would say it doesn't matter what kind of characters you have in a game, just as long as you're happy with what the characters are within the game that you orchestrated out within your writing, and then put it onto paper, then putting it onto Photoshop or another artistic program. But it doesn't matter if they're white, if they're black, if they're Arabian, if they're Asian, if they're tall, if they're 80 foot tall, if they're 2 feet tall. It doesn't matter who your protagonist is. It doesn't matter who your characters are within the game. It doesn't matter if they're minor characters. It doesn't matter if they're characters that just walk about. I would say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what kind of character you are. And it's seen more recently that there's just too many white characters, and I think people are just peer pressured to go that way just because society just simply accepts it as that way, which is really bad, because it doesn't expand your horizon just because you limit yourself because of how people think your game is going to be. Oh, you've got an Asian character in your game, but let me just say, I'm incredibly triggered by the fact that it has this feature on them. I'm going to tell my followers about how much I freaking hate this aspect and how triggered I am. Like, it's so stupid when it comes down to that. I would like for people to explore about the danger of feeling like people are just going to prejudice you off the bat. I would like people to explore their horizons as far beyond as the universe itself, rather than what society considers as a norm and only the norm. But also, as well, older protagonists also see a lack of. I'm trying to think of a game which has like an old protagonist or a grown-up protagonist, but I can only think of like Keith Haring from The Boogeyman, David Hoover from The Crooked Man. But even David Hoover in himself is quite young, just by looking at his portraits. But Keith Haring, I'd say, is a bit of an old one, just simply because he's a parent. But I think it goes down to that. And that wraps up all of the questions, folks. I hope you enjoyed this little experience, this little bizarre adventure that's been this episode. I'm not sure how long it is. It could be 20 minutes, it could be 30 minutes, it could be 40. I don't know. I'll be editing this video and then I'll be able to see how long it will be. But I would say thank you so much to everyone who's subscribed to me, everyone who's commented, who's liked a video, who's given me criticism. I'm always open to criticism. I'm not open to people who just type random stuff like, this video sucks, just like unsubscribe, like that sort of stuff. Explain why you don't like what you see. Explain like, oh, this guy has a webcam, instant dislike. Like, I'm not here to judge you, so why are you here to judge me? Like, I didn't do anything to you, so... Anyways, that's going off track there. But thank you so much to everyone who's been supporting me for the past few years. I've started this since 2015, late 2015, I believe it is. I think that's like my... Is it my first year of university? I'm not quite too sure. Let's see, oh gosh, I can't remember if it's 2014 or 2015 when I first started this sort of thing, but it's been quite a long time now, I believe. That's a long time. It's been 3 or 4 years. What am I talking about in that regards? But equally the same whether you subscribed yesterday, subscribed today, subscribed 2 months ago, subscribed a few weeks ago, subscribed a year ago, subscribed 3 years ago. I'm equally grateful to every single one of you who has subscribed and been part of this journey. And I would say, if you're looking for more games to play, there's always a lot of projects going on Tumblr, on RPGmaker.net, on DeviantArt, on Steam, wherever you want to go. There's always going to be something out there. I have a master list in my Discord in which you can access them below. My Discord server is completely free. You can join whenever you like. But also as well, check out my Patreon. I've set up one recently because I need some way of being able to upgrade my equipment and being able to keep up these uploads. And also as well for anyone who is interested in my computer situation, because I have a desktop at the moment which is currently AWOL, and Microsoft don't make any better by giving me suggestions that actually made my computer worse. And it's just come to a scenario where it went from daily blue screens of death to blue screens of death that happen every 30 minutes. Also in addition to that, the taskbar at the bottom of the screen always flickers. The internet browsers, doesn't matter which browser you have, so if you have Google Chrome or Firefox or Opera or Safari or Microsoft Edge, or if you still use it, Internet Explorer, it doesn't matter which browser I use, the browser itself or the tabs keep crashing. You keep getting that, oops, sorry, your tab crashed or something like that. And it's just so annoying me now, and I don't know what the problem is. In July 2017, I had to replace my motherboard because I was trying to change around these card slots which were being occupied so that both my graphics cards wouldn't be next to each other, because I think one of them was rattling on the other with the fan. And I tried to move it, but it wouldn't get out of the slot, so therefore when I tried to put up the graphics card, the slot came with it. Exposed pins, no. So I had to replace it, giving me another few £100 down the pot to try and get another one. The one I had at the moment was currently out of stock, so I had to get another one. And the only other one was extortionate in regards to having the same sort of specs, but I think there's something up with the motherboard itself. Or the operating system. Microsoft do never admit that the flaw lies with our operating system. They would say that the flaw lies within the hard drive, the graphics cards, the memory RAM, the fan, the cooling unit fan for the processor, the motherboard, the DVD drive. It doesn't matter what it is. The one thing they will not admit that is that their fault is with their operating system and not the computer itself. Do not get Windows 10, by the way. It's the most buggiest, most stupidest operating system you could ever have. There's nothing wrong with XP and there's nothing wrong with 7. Stick to those and you'll be fine. This laptop I have at the moment, it came defaultly with Windows 8, and as long as you have PowerShell on it, I think it's fine. But anyways, I've gone on to a tangent there. This video's gone on for long enough. Thank you so much to everyone who's been watching this up to this point. I think it's been really, really good so far, this incredible journey. And I'm hoping to keep on going. I'm hoping to grow as big as I can, and I don't have any time where I feel like I'm going to stop this. I think it's just one of those situations where it's going to happen when it happens. So it's not going to be like, is it going to happen 3 years down the line? It's going to happen 10 years down the line. It's just going to be when it's going to happen. And at the moment, YouTube is just being a bit of a butt with everything. That's why I don't have monetized videos of my own, because simply YouTube doesn't really cater for horror related games. Even though there are other YouTubers who probably get monetization just simply because of their size. Not picking out anyone in particular, but I think you get what I mean. YouTube at the moment is just stupid, and I think it's just one of those things which are imploding rather than expanding. Expanding as in like growing as a business, as something that's actually ethical, especially with some of their tweets recently. Just nah. But thank you so much for watching, guys. I keep saying this, thank you so much for watching, guys, but really thank you so much for watching. And check out my Discord, definitely. Check out my Patreon. I would say go over there, and it doesn't matter if you want to donate $1 a month or $10 a month, or the top I have is $50 a month. Just go over there, see what you like, and I would say if you're not sure, just $1. It doesn't matter how much you put in. I'm equally as grateful to every single one of you. At the moment of this time, I've only got one Patreon at $10, which is incredibly humbling to have. But I've rambled on enough. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Take care of yourselves out there. Have a wonderful day, and look after yourself.